Before there was Dracula, before the fear of bats and coffins and castles hidden in the fog of Eastern Europe, there was a man, a mortal, whose name has been forgotten by history, yet whose curse gave birth to everything we know about vampires. His name was Ambrogio, and his story began not in the dark forests of Transylvania, but under the burning sun of ancient Greece. Ambrogio was an adventurer from Italy, a man driven by curiosity and pride. In his homeland, he had heard whispers of a temple far across the sea, where an oracle could speak directly to the gods. Those who sought her would learn their fate, but at a price. Ambrogio wanted to know his destiny, to know if the stars favored him, if the gods had carved his name into greatness. So he crossed the Adriatic, through storms and salt and sleepless nights, until he reached the sacred city of Delphi. He entered the temple of Apollo, and there, the air itself seemed alive with gold and incense. The oracle sat before him, her eyes closed, her lips trembling with divine madness. Ambrogio fell to his knees, his heart pounding. "Tell me my fate," he said. But when the oracle opened her eyes, her voice was not her own. She spoke the words of Apollo, the god of light. "The curse of the sun shall burn your soul," she said. "The night will be your only refuge." Ambrogio froze. He didn't understand. How could the sun, the giver of life, become his enemy? He tried to ask again, but the oracle's body convulsed. Her voice turned to a scream, and the temple doors slammed shut as if by unseen hands. That night, unable to sleep, Ambrogio wandered to the edge of the cliffs, staring at the silver moon rising over the sea. And there, in the quiet, he saw her, Selene, the goddess of the moon. Her beauty was beyond words, her hair flowing like white silk, her skin glowing with a soft, eternal light. She watched him for a long moment, as if she had been waiting for him. Ambrogio bowed his head, overwhelmed by her presence. And when he looked up again, she smiled. Night after night, Ambrogio returned to the same spot, speaking softly to the sky, telling the moon about his dreams, his fears, his longing for something eternal. And though she never spoke, Selene listened. The line between mortal and divine began to blur, until one night, she descended to him. They met in the quiet dark, goddess and man, and in that moment, love defied heaven itself. But love, in the world of gods, is never without consequence. Apollo, the god of light, soon learned of their secret meetings. He who ruled the sun could not tolerate his sister's affection for a mortal. In his wrath, he appeared before Ambrogio and declared, "If you love the moon so dearly, then you shall never see the sun again." The next morning, when the first rays of light touched Ambrogio's skin, he screamed in agony. His flesh burned as if it were paper meeting flame. He ran for shelter, but wherever sunlight touched him, it left blackened scars. From that day on, the sun became his enemy. He was forced to live only in the night, a man cursed to fear the dawn. Broken and desperate, Ambrogio called out to Selene, and the goddess, torn between love and duty, wept for him. She told him she could not defy Apollo openly, but she would find a way to keep him alive. Each night, she would visit him, whispering comfort, bringing him strength. But as days passed, Ambrogio's body weakened. The curse was eating his mortal flesh. He needed a miracle to survive. It was then that he turned to another god, the trickster Hermes, messenger of the underworld. Ambrogio begged Hermes for help, offering his service for eternity. Hermes, amused by his desperation, agreed, but with cruel conditions. Ambrogio was to steal a sacred bow from Apollo's temple, a weapon of divine light. If he could do it without dying, Hermes would grant him protection from the sun. Ambrogio tried. Night after night, he snuck into the temple, But every time the first light of dawn touched him, his skin blistered and he fell to the ground in pain. Yet he refused to give up. Finally, Hermes took pity, or perhaps simply enjoyed the game. He gave Ambrogio a magical silver bow, one that could wound gods themselves, but warned him, power always comes with hunger. Ambrogio's hunger grew, not for food, not for gold, but for blood. The blood of birds and beasts became his only nourishment. It soothed the pain, kept his body from decaying. The more he drank, the more his strength returned. But the more he drank, the less human he became. One night, when Selene came to him again, he fell to his knees. "I am a monster," he said. "I cannot live like this. I cannot touch you without bringing death." Selene knelt beside him, tears shimmering like stars. "Then let death become eternal," she whispered. And so she made him an offer no mortal had ever received or survived. She told him that if he pledged his soul to her, she would keep him alive forever, not as a man, but as her creature of the night. His blood would never dry, his heart would never beat, and his love for her would endure until the end of time. Ambrogio agreed. Under the full moon, he took a blade and cut his wrist. His blood spilled into a silver cup, and Selene drank it, binding his soul to hers. Then she touched his lips and kissed him. The warmth of her touch froze him in place, and when he opened his eyes, he was no longer mortal. His skin was pale as marble. His veins burned with silver fire. The moonlight itself flowed through him. Ambrogio had become something new. Neither god nor man, a being of eternal night. But love could not shield him from sorrow. For while he was granted immortality, he was forever separated from the world of the living. He could only see Selene when the moon rose, and every dawn she vanished from his arms. The loneliness drove him mad. To ease his pain, Selene gave him a gift, the power to share his curse. By drinking another's blood, he could make them like him, creatures bound by the moon, born of darkness, free from death but chained to thirst. And so, as centuries passed, Ambrogio wandered the earth. He became a legend whispered by sailors and shepherds, a figure who hunted by night and vanished by dawn. Those he loved, he turned, not out of cruelty, but so he would never be alone. And thus, the children of Ambrogio spread across lands and centuries. The first vampires, cursed and blessed, reflections of his eternal love for the moon. But the story does not end there. In some versions of the myth, it's said that Selene still visits him, hidden among the stars. Her silver light a reminder that their love defied gods and time itself. When the moon is full, Ambrogio stands in its glow and whispers her name. And though his voice is lost to the wind, the world can still feel it. In the quiet pull of the tide, in the shiver that runs through the night air. They say that's why vampires fear the sun but thrive under the moonlight. It is not just curse, it is devotion. The burning of the sun is the punishment of Apollo. The embrace of the night is the mercy of Selene. And maybe, every time we look up at the moon, we're seeing what Ambrogio saw. Not just light in the dark, but a lover's promise that even in eternal night, love can still shine. If you enjoyed this story, remember, Dracula may have ruled the pages of horror, but Ambrogio ruled the myth that began it all. Long before fear, there was love, and it was that love that gave birth to the first vampire.